could never sleep well in hotels. I guess that's somewhat of an understatement. I could never sleep well in general, but hotels were the worst. Just the thought that the previous occupant of this bed is a complete stranger was repulsive in my mind. But that's beside the point. What I'm getting at here is how this lack of sleep in hotels changed my life. Last year, me and my family were spending Christmas in a crappy hotel. Don't get me wrong, it's not like I didn't enjoy the all-you-can-eat buffet of soggy hash browns and grits for Christmas Eve dinner. Of course, the first snow of the season had to cancel our flight to Virginia. It was Christmas Eve and I was trying to sleep in this bleach-saturated room. My mind was wondering what happened in here to cause such an excessive amount of bleach to be needed. The room was nothing out of the ordinary. 2 beds, one for my dad and I and the other for my sister and mom. A bathroom, and a stained microwave that looked like it needed a good dusting. Somehow I escaped the room and the stench of bleach into a dreamless sleep. Waking up, I could tell it was early morning. My dad was next to me snoring and he usually wakes up before 4 AM. That's when it hit me. It's Christmas, and I was about to let this bad fortune ruin my favourite holiday. Looking across the bed at the clock to check the time is when I noticed it. The silhouette of a man around 6'3" across the room staring at my mum's sleep. Still half asleep and caught up in the moment, I couldn't help thinking of Santa Claus. I realised how stupid this thought was and horror soon filled my head. I choked back a shriek. I knew I couldn't let him see me awake, so I quietly put my head back down, pretending to sleep. My mind was racing. Someone was in my room and I couldn't do anything. I was just a scrawny 16-year-old. This man looked built like an ox. I wondered if I could wake my dad up in time, but I knew that wouldn't work. He slept like a rock. A bucket of water couldn't get him up fast enough. I was practically in tears. I've never felt so helpless. For a second time I choked back a scream. He was standing next to me and I could feel and smell his repulsive breath on my face. It smelled like he'd been eating rotten meat for a week and had no thought to brush his teeth. If he didn't know I was awake, surely he did now. My face was contorted in fear. The breathing stopped and I couldn't help but sigh with relief. I would have kicked myself, but there was no need. I heard the room door open and close. I launched out of bed. Nothing in the room was in disarray and my family was still asleep. That couldn't have been a dream. I couldn't have imagined it. Feeling awake as an ever horrible idea popped into my head, and before I could push it away, I was pulling the door open. Glancing back to the door in order to memorise the room number, I saw a giant spray-painted black X on the door. Had I seen this without prior experience, I would have thought it was just some stupid kids, but now I knew better, but not enough to know what it was for. My heart skipped a beat. There he was, turning the corner at the end of a hall. Why am I doing this? I tailed him down to the parking lot. He was nowhere in sight. One moment he's walking out to the lobby, and the next he's gone. Realising how cold it was outside in my paper-thin pyjamas, I returned to the lobby. No one was around. Strange, I could swear there's usually a night guard on watch. My adrenaline was wearing off. I realised how stupid and rash my actions had been. He could have killed me. I cursed myself back up the stairs, but I knew something was wrong when I got to my floor. The door to my room was wide open. I hadn't left it that way, I'd closed the door. I walked inside and after a quick search of the room, I determined it safe and my family was still asleep. I locked the door and got back into bed, though I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. I listened to my dad get up and eventually my mum followed, but I still pretended to be asleep. A few hours passed and my parents got my sister and I up. We got into the car and made our way back to the airport. I was digging through my bag to grab my iPod and found something that hadn't been in there the previous day. It was a note that simply held 5 words I still think about to this day. I knew you were awake. It's now been around 2 months since the hotel experience. I'm still scared for my life and it gets worse every day. The note that I found wasn't the only one, and I still receive them to this day. Okay guys, well that was a creepypasta reading called Christmas. It was an interesting one. I actually think it's quite scary, this one, because you can almost imagine it actually happening. You know, staying in a creepy motel and having somebody enter the room in a Santa Claus outfit, just like some homeless sort of creepy serial killer perhaps, just watching you sleep and then sending you notes thereafter because they've got your address, knowing that they could strike at any day. Like, that's just a really creepy idea, I think. And so I think this was quite a good Christmas creepypasta, and it's not the best we've read on the channel, but it was definitely worth reading today, and I actually enjoyed it and think it's a good spooky little tale for the Christmas season. But with that said guys, this has been my Christmas creepypasta reading for the month of Christmas. I hope you do have a great Christmas. Thanks for watching today if you have, and I will see you guys on the next video.